This is a show about facing fear, unlocking courage, and taking action.
Courage isn't necessarily a daunting thing.
It's going to give you more purpose. It's going to give you more drive.
It feels like making a courageous decision is going to get you closer to who you aspire to be.
It's knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage.
Let's say you said, you know what, I'm going to start working out. And then that time that you booked on the schedule to go for the 45-minute spin class, it doesn't happen. Get up and do a 5-minute walk instead. We focus way too much on the negative things and the things that we didn't do as opposed to giving ourselves credit.
We are entering theme land here in December of the Courageous Podcast. And I don't mean like, oh, let's have a holiday episode. No, I mean like it's fascinating to be introduced to certain people that they're on their path, they're on their journey, they're doing their thing. And then, you know, maybe that little voice in their head kicks in and starts to question the journey that we're on. Or maybe we see something that happens in our lives and it forces us to cause a timeout. Like, for example, back in my New York City days, I know exactly where I was when 9/11 happened. I remember writing myself a letter that night. I still have that letter. And it was the glitch I needed to get me off autopilot. That was like, what am I doing here? What am I doing with my life? My guest today, Dilan Gomih, I kind of feel like same thing. You were on your path. You were living a good life. Things were just fine doing Wall Street life, right? And then something happened and, you know, we spoke. So I don't know if it was something that happened on the floor at Wall Street or if deep down you kind of knew, is this it? Should I be doing this? So first of all, what's up? Good to see you. And audience, you got to understand, if you hear a siren or a few, that's because Dilan is in the city, or is in the city enough. She's in New York doing her New York thing. But you had quite a transformation. And maybe I'll just first say thank you for joining. And let's just talk, like, how does somebody go from Wall Street to now having the title of Chief Energy Officer? And I'm not gonna ruin anything in between.
Thank you for having me, Ryan. And, you know, yeah, you can hear me. I'm right in the heart of New York City, and that's actually very much so where the story began. So picture this human sprinting through these 90-hour weeks where didn't see the sun when the day started, didn't see the sun when the day ended, but that was what was required. And I think when you're talking about what was that moment, I think there's those whispers that grow louder over time. And for me, it was this element of I was doing my thing, and I discovered the concept of fitness. And for the first time, even as somebody that had played sports my entire life, realizing that fitness was what lit me up and made me get through my days where I wasn't just like surviving, I was actually thriving. When I woke up at, call it 4 a.m. and pedaled on a city bike down to Barry's boot camp, and then went out to the trading floor and had to deal with massive amounts of currency every single day. But that was kind of the first spark, this first whisper of, working hard and being well can go hand in hand. And I didn't want to keep that to myself. So whisper number 2 is that, and realizing I actually want to help other people to operate the same way that I do. So I started teaching something like, and this is where it's going to sound a little weird and crazy, but something like 10 flywheel sports classes on top of my full-time job. And then there's also those moments that hit you pretty hard. One of those being asking somebody next to me why they were still in the industry 20 years later, and them saying something along the lines of, that's the only thing that they know. And that scared me, because what I definitely realized was that there were more uses of self. And I, stumbled into this life where at a pretty young age, I was making some decent money. Like it was, like more than a living wage and more than some people might see ever in their lifetime. But just that idea of like being so scared to move or learn something else, and hearing that articulated to me from someone else was just a little terrifying. And then this element of, no, I know what I'm daydreaming about during the day. And like, I was good at my job, but there was something else. There was very much so like, I have this incredible opportunity every single day to like move bodies in a healthy way and to help them go into their work days every single day much better and healthier. And maybe that's the way that we should all be working. And I'll stop with the last big moment that wasn't a whisper, is actually more or less kind of like a scream, if you will, which is also seeing somebody that was super successful, a managing director, lose their life because they had a heart attack on the trading floor and died. And it's like, well, that's definitely not the way that we're going out. And I don't think anybody should go out like that. So how do I be part of the system that changes that? So you can like go through these days where you work intensely hard without sacrificing the concept of being well. And you can live well into your 70s, 80s, and 90s, doing what you love and enjoy, and actually go out surrounded by your family in the way that you want.
Well, first of all, I mean, I can only imagine that moment, but and I think we'll get into that moment of like what life was like on the floor of Wall Street. But like, it is interesting to hear when we go from a whisper to a what or a wow or like or
Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, like there's no way I'm gonna stay in this life. And it usually does start as a whisper. And I'd say for anyone that's listening right now, like don't suppress the whisper, right? I mean, I'm definitely of the mindset of stated and created, meaning if it's stuck in your mind and it just stays there, it's hard to get it out. But the minute that I verbalize it and make it real, even to just one person, right? Like I could see Dylan, like when you were doing your Barry's days, your Barry's boot camp days, how many people on the floor on Wall Street actually knew you were doing that crazy? Did you try to keep it separate?
Yeah, so it started with my flywheel journey. So I was teaching at this spin studio, rest in peace, called Flywheel Sports. And I remember the first time somebody came to my class that worked at Bank of America, and I was terrified, like absolutely terrified that I was going to be discovered. Like, they're like, wait, don't you work on the fourth floor? And no one was more terrified than me. Than like, fast forward to like being on the Upper East Side, getting ready to teach a class. And the COO of my firm that I was still working at walked in to take my class. And I think the moment where it became wait, this can be a yes and was when the class finished. And he was like, you work on the fourth floor? And I was like, I do. And he was like, that was a great class. I was like, thanks. I'm going to mute myself because the New York City is clearly like affirming that happened with the sirens in the background. Sorry.
No, I think it's like you couldn't ask me to put a better sound effect in the background. Yeah. We don't do sound effects here. But if I was inside Dylan's head and I was just trying to do my job, my other job, I didn't want to be discovered, and then I am discovered. And by the way, how cool is that the first thing he said, well, the second thing after he's like, don't you work on the fourth floor, was epic class. Like, hey, that's got to be a box checked right there for you as well, right?
Literally, and that, and like the sheer fact that it established a relationship was also actually probably part of the trajectory too, right? Where like that was actually what like allowed me to know there's a reason why somebody like that, somebody who's like number 2 at the firm, also comes places like this, right? And that it wasn't viewed as a contradiction. And if anything, it was viewed as making me almost better at my job, right? Where I was both able to like show up in the workday and show up as a better person. And I'm like, that isn't something that should be unique to me. That isn't something that like I should hold near and dear to my heart. And can we figure out a way that any human can find whatever their thing is, whether it's like teaching fitness, whether it's taking a walk with their dog first thing in the morning, or like finding time to like, do a little movement with a loved one. So that way, when they go into the rest of their lives and their days, they're doing it as a happier, healthier human. These things shouldn't be at odds with each other. But a lot of people feel like they make that sacrifice along the way in whatever journey they're on.
Well, you said it yourself, right? Like, pretty good run you had, pretty good life you had, and you talked about the financial side of it, right? And that, but at some point, good life doesn't equate always to fulfilled life, and reminds me of some Tony Robbins once said, I'm not like, I'm not here to say I love Tony Robbins or whatever your take is on Tony Robbins is, but like he says, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. That feels like a little bit of the choices that you made, were you really fulfilled on the floor?
And it's a question I still ask myself. It's actually served me super well as a lens of evaluation of, is this like the best use of my energy? And I'm somebody that I think, I don't know, I don't want to self-evaluate myself, but I have a lot of energy. And I also have a view on what it means to be helpful. And I remember going through my days and sitting at a desk and staring at an Excel sheet. And it's like, is this actually like what I'm supposed to be doing? And does making a lot of money mean that I'm successful? And is being helpful and like successful at odds with each other? I don't think so. And just the fact that the questions wouldn't go away meant that I wasn't really answering the question. And that's actually like an amazing piece of advice that somebody had given me. It's like, if you're even interrogating it in the first place, it means that you have more to learn and more to do. So yeah, I think there really was this element of like, I was doing a lot, but was I actually living my life the best way that I could be or should be on this planet? And the answer was no, because I kept asking that question. And I actually do remember going to like the people that had been mentoring me and sponsoring me. And like, don't get me wrong. Like, I think a lot of people think of Wall Street as only kind of like this dog eat dog experience where like it's always difficult and challenging. There's no support. I actually had some incredible mentors that I still talk to on a regular basis. But when it came to this question of like, what does this mean that I want to build a business around like well-being? The answers that I got were like, well, here's how you do it within finance. Here's how you do it within Wall Street. And as I kept asking that question and realizing I'm asking it over and over again, it's because that's not what's satisfying me either. It's probably outside of these walls. And am I going to have the audacity to break out of it? And the answer kind of had to be yes. And that actually wasn't a whisper. It was kind of like a resounding, hell yeah, it's time to make a move.
All right, let's jump. I'm thinking about the open, and I'm like, oh shoot, there's a lot to unpack there. Like you had mentioned the heart attack, and at that point, I think we were beyond whisper, right? But you would also mention that conversation where someone was like, well, this is all I know, or this is all I don't know what else I would do. And if I unpack that, I wonder, is it really all they know? Or is it more like, well, look, I have a life that I got to support. Like I got kids and I make enough money where that fear at least goes away. Right. And like I could I could work here, live in New York, not cheap, by the way, have kids, could put them through school, and that is enough. And maybe that person does surrender who they are a little bit to take care of the house. Am I catching that right?
Yeah. And if I think about that human who, like, I know their mindset when I ask them that question. They're like, I got 2 kids. They're not even in college yet, but the cost of New York City preschool is like $40K a year in some places, right? Like even back then. And the analysis being, when am I going to have the time to take a step back? Like there is a trade-off between me taking a step back to quote unquote learn something new, which I don't even know what that is, and me making sure that my kids are successful. So that's like in some and totally valid ways, the analysis made sense for that person. And I'm a really big fan of like considering like the principle of like Ikigai, which is saying like your life is the pursuit of the things that you're great at, what the world needs, what you're passionate about, and what you can make money doing. And the intersection is what you're supposed to chase after. But if we're being real, sometimes in life, you're going to have to optimize for maybe 2 of those Venn diagrams at once. It's things that you're good at and what you can make money doing. Or maybe you're willing to forego the financial part because now is the time to go after what you're great at and what you're passionate about. But for each person, as long as you're optimizing for what makes the most sense for you, great. Zero judgment. You just need to know what you're living your life for. For me at that time, I definitely believe in a fulfilled life being one that had joy, and there was no joy in that answer. So that was not like something that could work for me. Like I very much so believe the pursuit of success and joy shouldn't be in opposition to each other.
What do you think? I mean, again, just to play the other side of this, right? Like,
Yeah.
how would you help somebody who, I think there's more people that feel the fear of that would be nice, but
Yeah.
and so joy's like in the trunk of the car. Like joy's nowhere to be found because they've got to make money, right? So like, is there? And again, I bet you more people relate to that than can relate to, having the courage to go. This served a purpose. I gotta stay curious. I gotta experiment. My joy is low. Like, or what advice would you give somebody? That fear of like not having enough money is real, right?
Totally real. And again, I live in New York City, so I hear you on the financial front. And I think one of the most powerful things to combat fear is getting rooted in what's tangible and getting rooted in what's something you can like put your hands on. So if there's a number that allows you to be free or allows you to be financially free, what is that number? Name it. Name it. So that way, actually, what do I have to arrive at? And what are the other ways that I could potentially arrive there? Because if you're just thinking it's impossible to do it because I won't be able to make enough, it's like, can you put an initial number on what enough means? And then maybe now that you have something tangible, your brain is spending less energy on the I can't. And there's a little space for getting a little creative about the different roads that you can take to getting there. So that's part one. And especially if you're in the financial world, like the beauty is there's a lot of instruments that you can use to be creative around like investing or real estate, and like even having the ability to do something powerful that you mentioned at the beginning, which is once you put that thought out there around, I actually think that there's another way that I'm trying to lead my life. Here's the number I'm trying to work towards. Can the people around me help me think about how I'm going to be smart about doing this? That's just part one. The other thing is, again, I make no predictions about lifespan. I can't do that. That is not my talent in this world. I'm not a time turner either. But assuming things go well, life is long and there's always the opportunity for multiple chapters. And I'm not saying that in rooted in nothing. Somebody that is always going to be an ongoing source of inspiration for me is my mom.
What's up, Mom? What's up, Mom?
Mama! Love you for everything that you've done and the multiple chapters of your life. So I will offer that I am the last of 4. And after almost each of her children, my mom went back and got another degree. So when she had my oldest brother, she went back and she got a graduate school degree. After my sister, she went back and she got her MBA while she was still working full time. And then after me, she got her law degree when she was 9. And lady is, I think hopefully it's okay, approaching 70. And it's funny, I was talking to her last night and she was like, yeah, I gotta jump. I'm studying because I'm preparing for a trial right now. So like this element of how you approach what's next, I think is really important too. And going back to that question of like, I don't know anything else. Well, maybe if you flip it, it's like, maybe it's not right now, but I'm going to create this chapter where I do learn what's next.
Yeah, this sounds like the old "Never Stop Learning" T-shirt that we got to pull out of the old of the closet, right? And what are we doing to keep pushing ourselves? And again, people that are listening and not watching, Dylan can't sit still. Like this is what a chief energy officer looks like. The shoulders are shimmying. She can't help herself when she's like, "You'd be a terrible poker. Are you a terrible poker player? Can you play poker?"
Well, you wouldn't know the answer. You wouldn't know the real answer, right? Because I could tell you no.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could tell you I'm awful at poker.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Seeing what you're
we
doing
should
here.
just play. Let's find out.
Yeah, I worry about going up against the Harvard MBA who understands numbers in Wall Street. I'll just say that.
I will say I sat next to a semi-professional poker player. Days in my career. And he literally always had like die in his hands. I'm not saying I picked up anything, but
you're not saying you didn't. You're not saying you didn't. All right. So I want to get to, it's sort of sad to admit this, but like when you kind of know, and you're still doing the Wall Street life and the heart attack moment happens. I mean, I guess we are there. So let's tell me, who was it? I don't need names, but like I know it's somebody high up in the organization, and what, when you see this, the visceral for you.
There's just this element of, by all the external metrics that we use for success, this gentleman, he was on a different desk. He was like a managing director. So in the finance world, that's like a senior title. That's like, you've made it. You're making substantial amounts of money. And just this idea of someone losing their life, people that were not their family, really hit so hard. And the thing with cardiovascular disease is it continues to be the leading cause of death, not just in the US, but globally. And genetics aside, and I have my own history of like cardiovascular disease in my family, there's a level of like these preventative measures that we can take, like things that we can do as preventative medicine. Everything from like, yes, you're going to the doctor, but like when you're working on a trading floor, it can be highly sedentary. Like unless you're actually using the standing desk that you're being given. And sometimes people have the standing desk and they don't move. I don't know this gentleman's story or like whatever their genetic situation was or what they've been doing on the prevention side. But just this element of how do you make it so people can have every tool that's available to them to not only have sustainability in their work, but longevity in their life, I couldn't let go of. And I knew that there was some role that I was playing as a fitness instructor, but that was almost moving like grains of sand at a time, as opposed to how am I thinking about changing the system that makes it so someone says, I don't have time to take care of myself while I'm taking care of business. How do we change that rhetoric? Like we live in a world, particularly in this country, where this is something people say and they say it with a straight face. I'll sleep when I'm dead. When if you don't sleep for 2 days, you will be, right? Like we have to kind of change the way that we manage things and realize that they're not at odds with each other. And it's a performance strategy. If you're somebody that says you want to live long and actually make a lot of money from working hard, then actually how you manage yourself is part of that trajectory too. So that was like a jarring moment, an incredibly sad moment, and something that motivated me to so much action that I was like, I now know that I need to be doing something different with my life. Not because I wasn't in a great role, but because I realized I had the capacity to do more and to be helpful in doing more.
I always, look, I shared my 9/11 moment, right? But like, it's funny. I come from the ideas business, and I always used to say a bad idea, like a catastrophic idea, is almost 100 times better than a mediocre, like almost like a mediocre idea. Like mediocre ideas are silent assassins because you don't realize like that they will kill you. They will kill you too. If a catastrophic idea or a catastrophic moment like the heart attack happens, at least you're like, exhibit A, do I want to end up this way? And you can like course correct quickly. Most people are not seeing a heart attack happen before their eyes, thankfully, frankly. So how do you help somebody that is going through the motions? They've heard the whisper, but they're a little dead on the inside. They're not energized. They're not alive, right? Like when I think about Dilagence, which I'd love to get into, the ability of like helping enhance human performance. Like think about you, like how would you go about helping somebody in that scenario?
Yeah. I think when people consider the concept of transformation, the pullback starts with envisioning something huge and massive. And that's almost overwhelming to take on, where it's like, wait, I have to overhaul my entire life. When I very much so approach change from the concept of incrementality being the most powerful thing that you can focus on. If you just consider the simple idea of being on a treadmill, and let's say you're, jogging at 5 miles per hour, that adding 0.1 says so much more than that number. Like your decision to add 0.1 was you saying you've got confidence in yourself to go faster and to move further and to be better than you were just a second ago. So I always focus on what's the smallest tangible action that you can take, because all the research says that if you're actually trying to create transformation in your life and make a big change, you focus on what's easy, not changing your entire system, not changing your whole life in one day, but like, what's the simple thing? So if you're saying, I'm not energized, I'm actually feeling kind of dead on inside, then here's actually the real step. What's de-energizing you? Name it. Name the things that are not bringing you joy and are not serving you, as opposed to trying to find the thing. Medicine is actually incredibly diagnostic. It's actually not about finding the perfect thing. It's like ruling things out. So that's the diagnostics part, is something that's actually going to be really easy, because I bet you can name the things that are draining on you first.
I love that, because it is December, right? So here we are, kind of a good month to take a step back and reflect a little bit on, hey, what's taking your energy away? Right? That's a great list to create. It's also like the month of, please give me all the chocolate and desserts at every holiday party that I go to, and I'm probably having an extra drink that I shouldn't have. So give me one other thing to get me through December that gets me ready for January.
The first thing is, are we going to do this with you? Like actually with you?
It's on. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. So you're starting January. How do you want to feel?
I want to feel energized. I wonder where that word came from. I want to feel ready. I want to feel ready. I am a person that likes resolutions. That's me. I like triggers on the calendar. So I like when the ball drops and it's a new year. It gives me, I feel like I can get refocused the way I need to. And maybe there's something in here for you, but in the spirit of actually answering your question, I am definitely I'm a 3 resolutions human. I do a mind resolution, I do a body resolution, and I do a spirit resolution.
Yeah. And they're also interconnected too. And it's like the more that you do one of them, the more that they're reinforcing the others. But I asked you how you wanted to feel, because one of my favorite things to do with folks is when they name how they want to feel, I want them to tell me about another time that they felt that way and how they made themselves feel that way. Like almost using the power of like your own past track record to allow you to move forward. Right. Yeah. So if you felt ready in January, tell me about another time that you felt ready, and how'd you make that happen?
Yeah, to me, I'm a I just heard this. I forget who the quote was, but like, I write so I get clear on what I know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and so to me, it's almost always a writing exercise that happens. That's my preparation. That's my mental running to get me ready for the year. So that's what I do if I want to feel focused, I'm writing. And I'm not focused in the moment. I mean, I'm focused on the activity, but it's helped me get focused in the future.
Yeah. So you're taking it out of your head and you're creating like an actual like a real action plan. And the reason why I'm focusing on more like the positive things that are in your control, the things that you can do, or like, just for an example, you started with like, oh no, I'm eating chocolate, or I'm doing these things, like the things that people feel bad about. They feel like, oh no, I'm overeating, or it's doing these things. Worry less about that. Focus on what you want to do next and how you want to feel when you're doing those things. So that's part one. It's like, how do you want to feel? Write down the things that allow you to feel ready or that make you feel successful. So, and put it somewhere where you're going to see it. So you have that reminder. Now, this is going to be the part that people probably don't expect, but it actually does go with resolution territory. At some point, you may fall off your resolution.
Come on, no way.
You might. In fact, something, I don't want to misquote the stat, but it's a relatively high amount of people that might fall off their resolution. Not saying that it's you or anybody that's listening, but the much more important thing is, what do you do next? And in a second, if you'll indulge me, I'm particularly going to talk about some of like the movement misconceptions that people really, really have difficulty with when it comes to resolution time. And we're going to break those down super tactically. But let's say you said, you know what, I'm going to start working out. And then that time that you booked on the schedule to go for the 45-minute spin class, it doesn't happen. All right, if it didn't happen then make the next time commitment to doing it and get up and do a 5-minute walk instead. So I didn't do the 45-minute spin class, but you know what? I did take a 5-minute walk, and focus on that, because we focus way too much on the negative things and the things that we didn't do, as opposed to giving ourselves credit for the things that we do and allowing that track record to move us forward. And I'm not a toxic positivity person where like everything is all about like, yay, 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 yay. But the story you tell yourself is actually incredibly important. Can we talk about movement misconceptions? Because I know so many people have movement goals as part of their New Year's resolutions.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
Number 1, consistency. Please stop setting rigorous like goals and unreachable goals if you already have a very complex life. Here's a great example of that. I'm going to work out 6 a.m., 7 days a week for at least an hour. But then guess what's going to happen? Your kid's going to get sick and then you can't work out at 6 a.m. Your boss is going to send you an email. You're going to see it. You're like, oh gosh, you're going to sleep in. And don't allow that to stop you from achieving what should actually be your goal. A realistic movement goal is I'm going to get moving 2 to 3 times this week. Stop. That's it. That's it. Why? Because that allows you to make that workout happen on Monday and Wednesday, Tuesday and Thursday. And when you start to create these flywheels of little wins, boom. That's how you can start to add a little complexity. And when people are like, that sounds way too simple, I'm like, your life is already complex. Why do you want more complexity? Not helpful.
I already feel better about myself.
Cool.
I already feel, the point to me, this is the treadmill adding 0.1 or 0.2, right? So it's like put down the Pepto-Bismol coating first a couple times a week, and then 0.1 it, 0.2 it up. And it's funny that you went here because the last 18 months I've been writing a book with a couple partners about self-talk and how much what we say to ourselves is part of the story. And if you get what you focus on. So if you have negative self-talk, which we call the monster in our minds, guess what you're going to be greeted with when you're not sustaining 6 days a week on 10.0 on the treadmill, right? So this is super helpful for me.
And there's like so much research, particularly with athletes, that talk about the power of how your mental game impact what you actually physically do. Like we've all heard that Michael Phelps story about how he always visualized the tape before he got in the pool, but we're the same way. We're the same athletes and we're the same type of corporate athletes, if you will, thinking about taking that opportunity to take a step back to think about how you want to execute before you actually do is so powerful. Other thing is stop comparing yourself to your past self because that is not fair.
Perfect timing with the sirens. Right.
What I think should happen is with each of the points, we just have a big siren moment. So that way you know it's important to listen to. Yes. Past comparisons of self. So I'll hear it all the time. Someone will tell me, oh man, I used to play sports in college. I was so disciplined, so regimented. And I was like, that's because you had a coach. That's because you had somebody telling you where to be and when. And you had like a reason for training the way that you did. And fast forward, you're still an athlete in your 40s and 50s, but the reasons why your training might be different and how you train might be different. That's okay. But you're not going to be able to reach a new goal if you're still focused on holding yourself to the same standards that you had for yourself when you were in your teens or your 20s.
All right, Dylan, give the audience one more as January is right around the corner. If there was like one other thing that we could focus on or put our attention to from an energy gain standpoint, what would you give us?
There's one big one is please don't check your phone first thing in the morning. Instead, I want you to get in the habit of using the first 1 or 2 minutes to get into your own mind before the notifications come in, before you're reading all the emails. I think of this as like athletes in the locker room where they're kind of getting their minds right before they go out and play on the court or like jump into the pool. How powerful is it to start the day on your terms, to have the first 1 or 2 minutes just be your thoughts? And then from there, everything else has to fit into your framework where it's like, you know what, today I want to make sure that I'm going in, I'm doing my best work. I'm going to build in at least 10 minutes today to walk. Maybe I'll park my car a little farther away. So that way I build it in that way, build in these little strategies that are incremental. And then when you have to pick up the phone and check the news alerts and check the emails from your boss, at least you've done it from the best state of mind that you possibly can be, because we know that the real game starts here. And I'm pointing to my brain if you're not watching.
Well, I like the intentionality of all this. And it's funny, even this morning, I walked my daughter up to school, and so I'm old man soccer league. I'm a used to athlete. So I played yesterday, so I couldn't be more sore today. And I remember being like, it's kind of cold out here for San Diego cold, not New York cold, but like 62 degrees cold, right? And I'm like, I know she wants me to drive her to school. My son's homesick today, but I know she wants me to drive her to school. I'm like, you know what? I need to get the body moving. And also I don't want to miss that special, daddy-daughter walk, little memories that happened then. So she was like, Dad, no, let's drive. I'm like, no, we're going to walk. We're going to walk. And I'm trying to be intentional about exactly what you said. Like, not only am I trying to connect with my daughter, but I know it's just good for my body to just get it moving, even when things are hard, right? All right. Let's talk about how Dylan Gomih went from Wall Street you to having the courage to go back to school to jump into this world.
Yeah. So to the point of what I shared about my mom, where there's this like passion for learning and like understanding what the best use of self was. My decision to go back to school very much so wasn't born out of like, oh, I need to get an MBA or I have to have an MBA. It was, I don't know how to partner the business of fitness and wellness with myself. But now it makes sense to go somewhere where I can actually figure that piece out. So after I graduated, it probably won't surprise anybody to know that I actually kept teaching and I still teach. Like, it's always been really important for me to stay pretty close to like why I'm doing what I am doing. Because if I'm not, like, what is it all for? But at the same time, there's this element of the fitness industry being so huge and actually an ecosystem. And I needed to learn that too. So I had this really cool opportunity to see almost like the full 360 of brick and mortar digital content and like operating a fitness business and management while I was still working and getting almost every certification I could, from behavior change to corrective exercise to women's fitness, because what I wanted to build was this world where, insert any human, we have the capability to understand what they might be going through, how they're working, if they're coming back from an injury, how can they move their bodies. If there's somebody that's an athlete or decides to go on American Ninja Warrior, which we should talk about at some point.
I am not going on that next year. I am out. I'm out on that idea.
But when you're in New York, you and I can go on a ninja course together.
Oh,
That's
boy.
what I heard you say that. Oh, great. I
boy.
think I saw a nod. I saw my self-talk is letting me know I'm seeing the nod from you that I want. Excellent. Great. You all
Can't
heard
spell.
it here first.
Can't spell
Ryan and
nod.
Dylan are going to a ninja training course together. Cannot wait. Okay, cool.
Nod. N-O.
And
D.
oh,
No.
D.
No.
D.
Okay.
Aligned. Editor, make sure we put those two pieces together. Great. We just co-conspired. All right. Cool. So Dilagence. Did I tell you the origin of the name Dilagence? Should I tell you now?
Yeah, bring it.
All right. So I know it sounds like it is a play off my name. It absolutely is. You don't pass up that domain name. You're an ideas person. But I actually picked it because the word diligence means steady, energetic, and persistent effort, which is everything that you need to be in the workforce today. But it's also what you need to bring well-being into your life as a practice and a habit. So
I do have to ask, Kat, like, if someone's listening right now and diligence should be on their radar, like,
yeah.
who brings you in? Where, like, what person, and is it anyone? Is it like a CHRO? Is it a CEO? Like, what is it usually? Who usually finds you?
Yeah. So particularly for programming, think offsites, think team building. It's a revenue driver. If you're thinking about performance for your team and you're thinking about how are we working the best, how are we making sure that we are contributing to the bottom line, head of sales, bring us in for programming so that we can help think of practical, tangible insights for your team to use on a day-to-day basis so they're working and performing better. Head of product. Anybody that's a revenue driver should be thinking that well-being should be part of their performance strategy. So yes, it is our incredible HR leaders, but it's also anybody that cares about the bottom line of their company. When we do our programming side, so we actually also do partner with large organizations to think about how they're both increasing utilization of their corporate wellness benefits or thinking more creatively about content and making sure that their workforce is aware of all the incredible initiatives that they're leading. That is our L&D leaders. That is our HR teams. We're getting to partner with you and help you to optimize the already incredible work that you're doing.
I mean, I kind of feel like the word that I took away from all that, I mean, you would think it would be energy, right? Because your title is Chief Energy Officer, and I feel that too. But like my takeaways were, one, see it, be it, right? Like, write it down, be intentional about it, but then also have some grace, right? Like, don't, like, again, the ninja course, the why I'm laughing about that is not my treadmill on a 0.1 increment. That is like, this is like it's doing the opposite of what you said. It's like, hey, I need to summon Ryan Berman from 1999 to get him something. But I'm in. Listen, I'm an optimist. I trust you. I'll do the tree trust fall.
I am going to give you a reframe. You have to let me, please.
Okay,
so when we think about these ninja courses, we think about them as like these intense, scary places. And I am very much so somebody that believes that movement and joy can go hand in hand. I wrote something around how, like, if you look at kids on a playground, you see them whizzing around, swinging from like monkey bar to monkey bar. They're incredibly happy. And we think that doesn't count as movement. These ninja courses are basically adult playgrounds. It's super fun. It's a total blast. It's less about doing things perfectly. And it's a lot more about like reclaiming the joy of movement that we had as kids.
All right. Where you said there's one in New York?
Several.
I'm sure you know where they all are.
Several. And I bet we can find them where you are in California too.
All right. Good to know. All right. Dylan, take us home. It's December. How should we wrap the show?
I really want people to think about their wins. A lot of times we focus on the things that we left undone. But if you're listening right now, I literally want you to think about 3 moments from 2024 that you're incredibly proud of. Put them in your calendar or somewhere that you will see them. And then when we flash forward to the beginning of January, when you're like resolution setting and thinking about what you want to get out of the year, think about yourself in December 2025. What will you have gotten done? And remember that you've already created your little track record in this moment because you wrote down 3 positive things that reminds you that you are capable, you are powerful in what you've already accomplished, which means that in 2025, don't be afraid to reach for the things that you're absolutely capable of accomplishing in your life.
Love it. And I can't see myself not asking this last final question. And this, as you think about your wins, right? And you think about what comes next year for you, share one place where you know you need to be courageous to attack next year.
So scale and growth. I'm going to be real vulnerable here. We are definitely trying to work with as many companies as possible, deliver programming to every single human that we possibly can. So if you are in a position to where you're building an offsite or you're thinking about how you can revamp your corporate wellness benefits, we want to work with you. But this second piece where we're trying to bring it to the masses, we're thinking through content. We're thinking about doing things in the media and making sure that any human has the ability to harness their well-being, harness their fitness, and from wherever they are. So where there's possibilities to speak, work with outlets, make sure that they are hearing the ability of wellness to transform lives. We'd love to partner with you, speak with you.
Love it. And they can find Dilagence because it's spelled, how's it spelled?
DILAGENCE.com.
Yeah.
Or find me on LinkedIn.
Or find her on LinkedIn. It's Dylan Gomih. Super geeked to have this convo. You got me ready for next year. I'm also reminded of, maybe it's because I'm from Maryland, but Goldie Hawn, fast fact, she's from Maryland. So Goldie Hawn once said the only thing that will make you happy is being happy with who you are and not who people think you are. And as you think about who you want to be in the future and designing that person, all of this certainly helps me get ready for next year. Really, really appreciate your time. I'm going to be steady. I got my movement misconceptions figured out now, realistic goals moving forward, and super, super grateful, Dylan, to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on.
I'm super grateful to end my year with you, Ryan. I can't wait for us to go to our course.
I know. Hey, I will go on the course. This is a
yes.
All right. We'll see. What do I need to bring other than myself?
That's it.
Let's go. You know what? We're ending the show now. I'm getting on a plane. I'm coming to New York right now. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Podcast. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so more people can find us. See you again next week.